Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first podcast of the day. It is officially racing day. This is the Whitcomb 5 series, and I'm Kate Stallings, and I'm joined by Randy over here.
Hey guys, welcome to the Whitcomb Classic 125.
I feel the thunder, which is our motto for today. But before we get started, I just want to say for all those racer fans out there is that the Lottery and DraftKings Sportsbook has got you covered. New customers get a risk-free bet for up to $150 or up to $50. Bet doesn't hit the promo code BET New Hampshire, so BETNH, so you guys can download the app today. And I think we have someone new on today.
Well, you know.
Yeah, hi, nice to meet you, Ben Dodge.
Hey, not close. Nice. Very nice. Jack Arute joins us here on the first podcast here at the Whitcomb 125. Jackie, we saw some heck of a race show yesterday, but this is going to be the magnificent show.
You know when you go to a concert and they have an opening act, okay? And the opening act gets you amped up. The opening act, gets the blood going. Well, not denigrating at all the Monaco Ford Tri-Track Series, but that's what they were. We're the Eagles.
There
okay?
you go.
We're the Rolling Stones.
Feeling the thunder.
We are whatever your favorite rock band is, and I'm dating myself, right?
Age is
because
okay.
There's people listening to this podcast that are going, it's like my daughter one time came to me and said, Dad, do you know that Paul McCartney had a band before Wings?
And also joining Kate and I today to my right, we'd call him the professor, I would think, by now with this event. Greg Whitcomb. Greg, we can't thank you and your team at GW Promotional Group enough. Man, what a show we have, and you brought the weather with you.
Isn't it a beautiful day?
Made it happen, buddy.
I got one question for you, though.
Shoot it up.
Are you ready to rumble?
I am ready to feel the thunder.
Jack, again, I got to say thank you to you. This is not just a beautiful day, but you and I have been 2.5 years at this, and it's here, buddy.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing for those of you that are listening to this and are headed out here to Monadnock, we're introducing some things that have a NASCAR Cup Series affiliation. We've got a choose rule. We're running segments. We've got a green and white checkered flag for the end of the segment. We've got fan involvement. Redraw for positions. It's because we want to establish the Whitcomb 5 and specifically this Whitcomb Classic as when you watch it, it's similar to what you're used to, and that's great short track racing, but it has a different flair to it, and we're only going to grow with it. You're right. It's been a dream of yours for 5 or 6 years. You started talking to me about it, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, Randy. I thought he had a screw loose. Okay.
You know what? More than one person has said that to
me. Indeed. But it is
more than one.
And it is upon us. And the one thing I learned over 2.5 years, they don't make enough Xanax to deal with them.
And I'm telling you, I think what is really most important about today and about racing in general, Jackie, you come from the family of racing. Greg comes from the family of racing. We're making new members here present with our family and our sport. And I tell you what, family events, holy moly, have you got enough going on up in the Midway, my friend?
Yeah, my wife putting together the kids zone, putting all that together, that's just another added thing that we've done. We're bringing it in so that the adults can bring in their kids and they can be entertained and stuff, because granted, the racing is the racing. But what we're doing is we got something for the kids to do too, and my wife brought it in with doing even for, what did I say, the adult kids, the teenagers and everything. We got the cornholes things. We got yard.
Yeah, but Greg, the problem was I saw somebody that's far older than I thought would be playing in the sandbox with the Tonka toys, the construction equipment. His first name is Randy, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, you know what? We're all big kids.
Well, we had to get him out of there and change his clothes so he could come down to the podcast.
You guys are just too demanding sometimes, I swear.
So, Kate, what are you thinking about this whole situation?
Well, I know you've been talking about it for a while. We've been doing a podcast or two to get ready for this day. I'm excited. I like that we're going to be podcasting more, bringing everyone through the day with us, and as we continue the excitement, we're down in the pit area, which is such a nice change. This is a very, very cool area to be in, and we got the whole tech crew down here, so shout out to them. You guys are doing great, and so it's going to get loud here shortly, which I'm very excited about. And you guys know this. This is your love and your territory here, so I'm excited just to be here with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I told you last year, September, Kate. May is a long ways away, but it's going to be here fast.
And you were talking about so many fun things, and I was like, man, he's really bringing in everything. I'm sure you guys got the same calls I did about we're adding this, and I said, oh man, this is going to be a great year for racing.
But that
wasn't just me though; it was Jackie.
Oh,
it was Jackie too. Jackie goes, hey, how about this
point.
idea?
This is a terrific point, though, Kate, because the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series that caters to the diehard race fans, and what you're witnessing is what I hope a lot of people that come here for the entertainment leave here this evening and say to themselves, hey, it's worth us to consider coming back. So I put a lot of value in your perspective as a first-timer, and my goal as the consultant to Greg has been, how can we wow them? How can we make them feel that they have a stake in this? And look, I'll be the first to admit, we're going to try some things. Hopefully, knock on wood, some of them will work. If there are others that don't work, A, I'll blame Randy.
Nice.
B, I'll blame Greg. I'll go deny, but we'll fix it by the next one.
Right.
So we value your input.
Absolutely.
We value the fans' input. And the best way for you fans, after you've experienced this, go to the website, leave a message, and look.
Give us suggestions.
I have a theory, all right? Did you realize, the three of you, that in 1929, Coca-Cola took cocaine out of the recipe for Coca-Cola?
Right. Yeah.
Since that day forward, all original thought has ceased. Instead, what you do is you take old ideas and you fashion them into the 21st century. And that opens the door to try and do things a little bit differently. And that's what the Whitcomb Classic and this Whitcomb 5 program is all about. And the beauty is we're bringing in some terrific partners, but more importantly, our primary and most important partnership is with the competitors. There's been such a buzz. The early indication here in the pit area, last night there were 25 cars for $10,000 to win. The estimate right now, according to track officials, is that we'll have in excess of 35 modifieds trying to vie for a starting spot in this afternoon's Whitcomb Classic. From a short track industry, when was the last time Monadnock, Randy, had to run a last chance qualifier?
For sure, it's when you fill the field and make it the field to be in and want to be a part of. Sammy Ramo, hats off to that team last night, and he's back with us today in his great car. I think you've got some impressive people coming up through that are just looking forward to just being a part. All they want to do is be a part. They could have, whatever happened last night happened, but today's fresh ideas, ready to go, and these families and these teams are ready to bring
and
it
an
on.
entirely 180-degree turn in terms of strategy. Introducing the stage concept. The first stage will be 75 laps. Then there'll be a green and white checker. Gee, does it sound familiar like what you saw just last week at Talladega?
For sure.
And the top 10 drivers, they earn playoff points for the championship weekend back here at Monadnock in September. And then what happens is you get to run the last 50 laps. The strategy, and you saw it unfold with Sammy. Sammy led, didn't take the bait last night when everybody came to the pits about 40 laps into the race, but he learned a valuable lesson, and that lesson is managing the tires. And I think that now this stage strategy, because the other thing we're going to have is what NASCAR fans already are aware of, is what's called a non-competitive pit stop. Once the field is put here inside the paddock area for their pit stop, if they elect to go into the pits to make changes, then 5 minutes later the horn will go off. They don't lose any positions, and they come back and they fill in behind anybody that elected to stay out. And it's going to be fun to see. Do you take the bait, or do you look at someone like young Kimball last night that had a crate motor against some of these high super-powered Monaco Ford entries, and do the entire race without a pit stop.
Right. Exactly. And something else I want to bring up, Randy, is I want to thank Automall and Fairfields for coming on as the title sponsor, and also here being on our on-site podcast. We want to thank Truly Hard Seltzer, and appreciate everything that they've done for this series and going forward.
And I'm telling you, again, back to our sport, we don't survive here, with the Whitcomb 125 or the Whitcomb 5 Series without sponsorship. The tracks, every week, they rely on that sponsorship that you see on the back billboards. Support those people because they're supporting our sport. And everybody that's involved, we'll give a little wave to Lisa Patnode from the 24 team. And, it's a big organization put together by a lot of just passionate people who want to be involved, and it's great to see.
Exactly. I mean, everybody talks about it. Go back to the days when we went into Cup Jackie. My father, he did it out of his own pocket for the first year and a half and everything. And then we sat down one day and said, if we don't get a sponsor, we can't continue. I'm not spending my life savings doing it because nobody can. And Jackie's always said, my father even said it. He says, you want to make a small fortune?
Start with a big one.
Start with a big
and
one.
So that's what we did. And it's in the book that we did. Jackie's even mentioned it to people. We came within a short time of 2 weeks of shutting down before we even got to the Daytona 500 in 1990.
I guess I should let the cat out of the bag.
All
right. Part of our pre-race festivities is I was very, very fortunate to go back into my archives. And when we introduce our Grand Marshal and really the namesake for this entire effort, Greg's dad, Bob Whitcomb, we go back and trace that story. And to me, it was such a fascinating story because of the fact that here's a team that's on the brink of hanging it up. Not the first team that faced that.
No.
All right, we had it with the Hendrick Motorsports.
They were that race.
That
if
was
they
the
didn't
last
win, he
race
was
at
done.
Martinsville with Jeff Bodine.
Right.
He was hanging it up.
Right.
But in this case, how the lifelong childhood dreams of a Granite State businessman came to this close, all right, to not being fulfilled until it intersected with a young man from Spanaway, Washington, who, because of a knee injury, had his Major League Baseball career and the promise there just totally taken off the board, and he turned to auto racing. And then their dream was to win the Daytona 500. You need to be here this afternoon because we are going to tell that story with clips from Ken Squire, from Motor Racing Network, and relive that moment.
February 18th of 1990.
And
absolutely.
Help people appreciate what the significance of this entire Whitcomb 5 series is all about.
Right. And before even that, it goes back being here at Monadnock, and that's why the Whitcomb Classic will always be here because we have made this now with the track the home of the Whitcomb Classic. And it started here in 1975. And we have,
which, by the way,
we have that driver here, Brian Ross.
Flying Brian Ross. I'll tell you what a competitor Brian was. You saw him like you look at tradition, go from tradition to day now. We saw last night in Matt Kimball, in Todd Patnode, in all these local guys. Brian Roby. What a great tire management Roby did last night.
Well, look, that's the key. And whether you like it or not, tire management in extra distance races is one of the strategies. 1 year ago in September when we ran our first Whitcomb race.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
All right?
Patnode.
I remember you and I, you actually teed me up and says, what's wrong with Todd Patnode in the first segment? And I said, he's thinking it through. And he's conserving his tires. But watch, all of those guys that absolutely dominated the first part of that race,
for sure,
when that stage break happened, where were they when they dropped the checkered flag?
Exactly.
And who was out front? I'm
going to drop the mic on myself for a little bit and bring in a special guest, okay?
Absolutely.
Who are we
we'll
bringing
take all
in?
those special guests. I'm looking out, Jackie, out in the crowd there, and I see this guy in his Whitcomb white and red and white hat. S.J. Avanson.
Yeah.
I think I know who we're bringing on.
Moly.
You think?
I think.
Oh, And look at this.
A legend.
Speaking of legends,
Oh boy.
I'm gonna swap mics with Bob so he can sit right next to Jackie.
Yeah, it's good to have Bob back.
Absolutely.
You know, it's
Welcome, Bob.
Come on in, my friend.
See, you have to understand when you get to be Bob's age or to my age, we don't buy green bananas, okay?
No.
We live in the moment, and it was so great to renew our acquaintances, Bob, last year in September, and then to have all of this concept come to fruition, kicking off with this race today, it named in your honor, and called the Whitcomb Classic, and it's good to see you. You know what? I think you look a hell of a lot better than I do, and you're like, what, 12, 13 years older than I am? 85
years young. Yeah. 85 years young. You can see
85 is the new 55.
Is it? There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. I got many years to come then, Bob. Many years to come. Hopefully, you'll enjoy yourself today. What's your fondest memory about any race here at the Monadnock Speedway? What's your fondest memory? Do you have a more favorite one than another?
No, I don't think so. Not really. I remember he's right over there. Brian Ross. He won the very first one that I sponsored down here, or my company.
Yeah.
Back in 1975, and we sponsored him.
Was that your first ever race you sponsored?
Yeah.
Great.
And then we sponsored it for several years.
Yes.
After that, I don't think so. Any one particular race. Of course, a lot of the drivers. Of course, I ended up in Cup racing. And,
Yes, sir.
And but a lot of the drivers that won the Whitcomb race down here ended up in Cup series. You know, the Bodines, the Bouchards, Richie Evans. A lot of them, and that won our race here at Monadnock.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note for people like Kate that this was an era when it was unheard of, Bob, for New Englanders to venture down south, because at that time we had Race Hill Farms, then you came along, and that was astonishing. And here's why: because it wasn't a national sport; it was a regional sport. And if you didn't talk with a southern twang, if you didn't know what grits and liver mush was, you were behind the eight ball. But you then took, Bob, and this, our relationship was all the way back then. You didn't allow that to stop you from pursuing your dream when you said, you know what? I'm in my mid-50s. I've done a lot of great things in the construction business. I'm going to go pursue my dream. And, to me, I think that's part of the aspect that needs to be celebrated, is the fact that you didn't let reality deter you from going after your dream.
That's true. And of course, what you know how it all got going when I decided I wanted to do that. Then I took Kenny Bouchard from here.
The mayor.
That
Yeah.
had won a few of our races up here.
Sure.
Of course, and his brother too, Ronnie, who I knew very well. But anyhow, took Kenny down there, and then
One Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And then I was like Jackie said, northern boy going down that southern sport.
For sure.
But I cooled it and took it easy, and one guy that helped me an awful lot really to get going was Rick Hendrick, Hendrick Motorsports.
There you go.
And Rick was a big help, and actually he ended up doing our engine program, and he after he did that, he got a hold of Chevrolet, and he said, I'm going to do Whitcomb's engine program, and he said, I want him on the deal, so it was on the complete Chevy deal.
Perfect.
So Rick was very helpful, and Richard Childress was another one that was a big help to me. So they took the Northern boy under their wing. I guess you want to
Well, yeah, but remember one thing. They still called you like they called me a damn Yankee.
Oh yes. Oh, you yes, right.
That line is somewhere in the sand somewhere, and it just never seems to go away.
Right.
But, Bob, when we're sitting talking here, we were talking about this last night with some of the race competitors here and that. And I've been blessed with being around these folks and around guys like you. I have never seen anybody help their competitor more than a race guy. Their competitors will help each other. It doesn't matter if you just wrecked each other. They'll be fixing each other's car to get them back on the track.
You're right. They
And
do.
it's just an awesome feeling.
I say this on my podcast all the time. I said there's a unique aspect to the sport, and it has several tiers. Motorsports is you have to have a level of dedication that I don't think exists in the NFL. It doesn't exist in Major League Baseball, with all due respect to other professional sports. But the other thing is there's a profound respect, okay? Yeah,
For sure.
all right, in Major League Baseball, there's a brushback pitch and there's a bench-clearing ball, whatever there. Yeah, here, you may be angry for the moment. And I always tell people that don't know anything about racing, what you're about to witness, they're going to be men and women that are going to go out there and they're going to lay it all on the line.
For sure.
And on short track racing, in front of their friends and family, all right? And they're going to allow the emotion to override their good judgment. They will actually go out there and try to beat the living crap out of each other. And then when it's all said and done, they all get back in the garage area and they go to work to make sure that every single one of those teams is ready for the next
For
week.
sure.
Tell me another sport that does that.
None. There is none.
Do you think the New England
Oh
Patriots
gosh, no.
are going to go to the LA Rams and, say, hey, we want to share our playbook with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen that, and it doesn't work real
Yeah,
well.
well.
It usually ends up in fines.
Well, the one common denominator, though, back in the Brady days is, as Bob knows, the key in cup racing, the key here, air pressure.
Oh, for sure.
Okay? Air pressure. Tom Brady would have made a great crew chief because, he wanted to run those balls a little flat,
Just
a little deflated.
softer than everybody else. So it gives you grip, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you talk about that, and again, we have folks. A great time tire guy was Mario Fiore for years with a teddy bear pool car. Mario was the tire guru. We're going to see Tommy Barrett today. His protege. Learned a great lot of racing. He's a great young hot shoe, but I'll tell
Not
you
that
what,
young anymore,
well,
my friend,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
However, through the maturity, he learned a lot.
Well,
from the
and look,
veterans.
we're all defined by the untoward or unfortunate things that happen.
For sure.
As a youngster, he made a mistake, okay, and it probably cost him the fast track that he was on.
Sure did.
But I've always looked at it and said, we're not defined by our successes. We're defined by what we end up doing in failure.
For sure.
And Tommy Barrett's one of the cats that you better keep your eyes open here
sure
and
will
watch today. Listen, I'm going to run. Believe it or not, I've got a lot to do.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And you already missed the announcers meeting.
Oh, well.
All right.
All right.
So
And I'll sit with Bob and hang out with
I
him
think
the
it's a
rest of the
wonderful
day.
idea.
I'm awesome.
So here's your assignment,
Yes,
Randy.
sir.
Okay, because you missed it. It's like having to start in the back of the
Oh,
pack.
boy. Yep. Here we go. Tire
when
management.
when we get into warm-ups, you have been dispatched to the crowd, and we want you during warm-ups to do exactly what you're doing here. Talk to the people, find out how excited they are, what they anticipate, because they are just as important as the competitors, and
For
we
sure.
want them all, most importantly, we want to have fun today.
Absolutely. It's going to be
wanna
a
have fun.
blast. I'll tell you what. When we
It's a
talked,
beautiful day.
Yeah.
when we talked
Not a cloud
about
in the
last
sky.
night. Yep. Sorry, Kate. When we talked last night about just
You gotta
doing
stop
that thing-
interrupting, okay? She
I
is a
know.
lady.
I know. My manners. Sorry.
I'm used to it.
Oh, come on now. But anyways, long and short of it is about.
Do
what
you
we're gonna
notice
do
that
with
I
the
can get him
fans.
distracted, and then he's
He
like, got to
does.
gather
There you
his
are.
He does
thoughts
this all
back
the
in.
time.
Yeah.
However, this day is about the fans.
Yes, indeed.
The fans are the reason we do what we do. These competitors do what they do, and this is the way we push just as hard.
You know what I've always said? The sport is a sport, an assembly of common men and women that are dedicated to accomplishing the uncommon.
Amen. These boys, these folks.
And that's
are
it for my
heroes.
All right, I think
philosophy
we have another
because I
person
kind of
joining
flunked
on.
up.
We
Yeah.
do.
All right.
All right.
Is Bob staying with
you.
us?
Are you going to hang with us, or are you going to move along? You can hang because I think we're going to bring one of your veterans in.
Oh, yeah. Brian Ross. Yeah.
Come on in, Brian.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Bob. We're great to have you here, and
Who do
we're
we have?
gonna do a little seat swap. Or Bob's gonna sneak his way out. I'm gonna mic cue hold here if
There
I
you go.
can. Well, it's been a few days, my friends, since we've seen each other. Welcome to the GW Promotional Group Whitcomb 125. None other than flying Brian Ross. My friend, good to see you.
Good to be here.
What do you think, man? What a gorgeous day.
Yeah, it is a beautiful day. Couldn't ask for any better. And boy, this place is really looking good here.
Yeah, and you've seen it, in a few days later. And now when it's new, what do you think that the Wren family's done with this place? Isn't it amazing?
Fantastic. probably 47 years ago, I won the Whitcomb 100 here.
Wow. Isn't that seem like just yesterday?
Jeez, I guess so.
Butterflies in the stomach still, pulling those belts tight for the last time,
Yeah.
and just making it run. So take us back through your career, Brian. You had a phenomenal career. What is some of your most memorable moments about your career? What do you remember being some of the things? Because you guys were making handmade cars then, not these production cars and that kind of stuff. And we were talking with Dale Levantian, SJ's son, about some of the lap times turned last night in these tour-type modifieds. You guys were turning those then.
Yeah, well, the rules have changed a lot. They changed the offset rules, and I'm not sure what they're doing with the motors. I know the motor rules have changed, but one of the biggest things they did that slowed down the cars was change the offset rules. We were running 58%. At one time, they were running 60 and over percent
Wow.
left side cars, and NASCAR put a rule in for that, backed it down to 58%. But even going from 58 to I think it's 55 now or something like that makes a big
think that
difference
is
in
what
the
it is.
cornering speed. And the cornering speed is where it's at.
Well, and here at Monadnock, the high banks are tricky. 1 and 2 is not like 3 and 4. Some of the things that we see take place is that you may not have all the power like Matt Kimball running the crate car last night against a tour type engine, but boy, he was making that thing stick for sure.
Yeah, this place was kind of unique, and I for some reason, I just took to it right away, and I was just talking to Dave Sutherland about that, and
The
I
voice
could actually,
of Monadnock Speedway.
Yeah, and he actually reminded me about it. I could actually, a guy said to me one time, how do you bend that car in two right in the middle of the corner? And for some reason, I just figured this place out right away, and that's about what I could do, and I could go into 3 and just pass 2 cars on the bottom there, because I could get into 3 and just bend the car, and could do the same thing up here in the bank on this end. For some reason that just came to me naturally, and that was probably the biggest answer to my success here. And I won quite a few races here
You sure did.
with the 87, with Bob Garbarino's Mystic Missile, and also with my own 73 car.
Yeah, a tough thing to see, as racing goes on throughout the years. Bob has now shut down the operation of the Mystic Missile. And, he was a car that was always like everybody looked for, no matter who was in that seat.
Right.
And there was a lot of talent, yourself included, that drove those cars for Bob. It was tough to kind of see that team disappear. But all these new teams reappearing. And it's really kind of great to see. I mean, we're looking at cars, double loaders here at Monadnock Speedway. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, I guess it's like anything else in sports, it just evolves. Jackie and I were talking on our way in here about the evolution of the modified division. I had an interesting story for him. That orange car that I built in 1982 that was so successful in 83, and I won the Stafford Championship with it, won a lot of races down there with it and all in different places, Thompson. And anyways, that car, I sold it, and then years later somebody told me it was for sale. I went and got it and redid it.
Nice.
Back to original. And they wanted it for the museum in Saratoga Auto Museum, which
Beautiful.
is right near me. And I'm a member there and all. So I took it up there, and at the same, Ronnie Hedger put this deal together.
There you
And
go.
he wanted to have my car and a car of Wes Moody's.
Wow.
because we're both from Saranac Lake.
Sure.
So Wes had a coupe,
Oh,
and I had that orange
yeah.
little
I'm telling.
42-inch tall car, you know. So when we brought the two cars in there, the people, the volunteers at the museum said, "My gosh, there's a big difference in these cars." And the light came on, and I said to them, "You know, the difference in these cars is 10 years or less. That's how
sure.
fast the division, the
Changed.
modified division, evolved into
Absolutely.
what you see today. Now it's pretty much very similar today, you know." But we lived through a great time, and we're in racing through probably one of the best times that you could ever be in at those years of evolution, and so much ingenuity and all.
Well,
And that was really a lot of fun to be a part of.
yeah, and again, you folks built all your cars. You did all the adjustments. You made things work. You're right. Difference in rule package probably changed and evolved with as it went along, but you guys were the craftsmen. You were the ones that said, "Wait a minute, we've got to put more offset. We've got to do this. Weight distribution's got to be different." Working the tire rule, working all that stuff. It's just amazing to see when I watch these when they watch the antique racers come and look at those old vintage modifieds. Well, I'll tell you what, you look at some of Bob Donahue's stuff, it isn't much different than what's sitting here right now, just a little difference in tweak.
Yeah, and a big part of it too was always the little things. I was just mentioning this to a fellow down the aisle here. Or down the line here. I was talking with some of the little things that you came up with in your head that would make you so successful, until somebody else caught on to what you were doing. You know.
Exactly, giving away the trade secret.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to be in racing in that time, and.
Well, I can tell you as a fan, a very young fan at that time, I can tell you watching you perform here was amazing. There was so many great folks that ran together with each other. The days of Punky Karen, the days of Kenny and Ronnie Bouchard.
Right.
I mean, I can remember.
Tough competition. Yeah.
I never can forget as a young kid standing over there in the pits, and it used to be a green and red light when you guys qualified. Mm-hmm. And when they time trialed, I remember Kenny Bouchard, your driver, Bob, sitting there, eyes focused, one hand on the wheel, one hand on the stick. And he was called the mayor for a reason when he blasted off that coming out of turn 2, and he was ready to show what that car could do.
Yeah.
It was amazing times. Those guys were awesome. You guys were fantastic.
There was a lot of good talent from up in this country here. Punky Karen was very talented, you know. You think about Dynamite Ollie Silva.
Ooh, Ollie
Put
Silva.
on some good shows here, right?
Sure.
And some of the guys, Kirby Monteith, great competitor.
The mountain
fun
man.
Guy to be around, you know?
Absolutely.
Just a lot of good names. Dwight Jarvis, another really nice family and a great competitor. I'm leaving out a lot of names of guys
And
that
there's a
came out of this
ton.
part of the country up here and
Absolutely.
really put on a show here, and most every other place they went to.
Folks like Jim Boniface,
Yeah.
just all this local talent. And looking back now and seeing over our shoulder what the local talent's coming to fruition now. I'm telling you what, you guys started the legacy, and these guys are continuing your future and our future of this sport.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the races today. There's a lot of good-looking cars here, you know, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Huh, Bob?
Yeah, There's some darn good-looking cars out there, and some of the guys you were just mentioning, and it brings back memories for me too. All those old timers. Oh God, yeah.
Young, we call them young competitors with a tradition of legends. You know what I mean? They gotta have that legacy legend.
Yeah. No, we had a couple of shows here too that were like championship shows too, and you know Richie and Jerry Cook and those guys had come up, you know, and I remember one night here I was in one of those races, and I got to second, and I was pretty sure I was going to get. Cookie was leading. I was pretty sure I was going to get him, and I broke. The car broke. I was driving the missile. You know, my heart was broken, but you know they towed that car off, and something broke in the rear, and so they had to pick up the back of it. And I was sitting on the side of the car, and I got a standing ovation from the crowd. I broke and got a standing ovation. It wasn't because I broke, it's because we put on a good show.
Exactly. And the fans are what drive
Oh
it.
yeah, the
They
fans
sure do.
Yeah, they get you excited.
Sometimes it's like you or love you. You're not quite sure where you are in that campaign some days. But the bottom line is, if not, you've got at least one fan in the crowd that's going to cheer you on no matter what. And that's the great thing we need to know about.
Well, I know that Greg just went up to the top there to go check on a few things, and it looks like we're wrapping up our podcast here. I just got the nod. So it was great to have you on, Brian and Bob. As always, you
Thank
guys
you.
excited?
Thank you very much.
I think we're all
Thank you,
excited
yes.
here.
Kate, we feel like we lost you in transition
Oh, no,
today.
that's okay.
And she's over here giving the nudge and the thumbs up to make sure we're doing it all the right way.
Everyone's just nodding to me about when to do things. So I
Exactly.
will close up this podcast and just let you know again, the lottery and DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. New customers get a risk-free bet up to $50 if your first bet does not hit. So you can use promo code BET, B-E-T, and then NH for New Hampshire. You guys can download the app today. Again, that is for DraftKings. So thank you guys for listening and joining on. We had a whole bunch of different guests today, so we're going to continue. This is the first of 3, so we're going to be pretty busy today.
Running around's crazy. Guys, thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Okay.
Brian, great to see you.
Great to
Bob,
see you.
awesome as always. We'll talk
Great
soon.
to see you. Oh.